Hello everybody, welcome back to yet another dollar stream. I hope you're all having a beautiful day today. I see that we have Kaze in chat about to go. We have Moonha as well. We have Jack as always. Welcome on in everybody. I hope you're all having a good day today. Today is, what day of the week is it? It's a Sunday. It's a Sunday. All right. So I'm excited for today. We're gonna make a couple of some of my favorite Korean dishes today. We'll talk quite a bit about them. Recently, I've been trying to get really invested into Korean cooking overall and try to make it a little bit more accessible to myself at home, especially New York City. Going out for Korean food is really expensive. And today we'll be doing a dish that I already did on stream once before. We'll be doing it a little bit differently today. We'll have a nice, delicious kimchi jjigae. I'll be doing it with chicken. So like a chicken kimchi stew. It's gonna be delicious. We're gonna make a little cucumber salad called Muchim. And then we're gonna make a spinach dish that I believe is called Sigeumchi-Namul, something along those lines. So it's basically going to be like the seasoned spinach. We'll have like these delicious seasoned spicy cucumbers and this delicious pot of spicy chicken stew filled with kimchi. So quite a bit to make today. And before we actually begin, I want to talk about a couple of things. First up, we have the chat thingy working again. So if anybody wants to display a question. All right, Prisco. A woman in the kitchen where she belongs? I'm so sorry. Welcome on in. And that's going to be an immediate ban. All right, that was weird. Let's not be weird today. I don't like that. Okay, great. I think that did it, didn't it? Something like that. Okay, so hopefully that worked. If it did not, well, that's a little bit embarrassing. Okay, we got to talk about a couple of things. First and foremost, if anybody has any questions today is the day you're especially encouraged to send them in. Second of all, we got to talk about Korean cooking as a whole. We got to be talking about the structure and sort of the idea of how a Korean meal is constructed. And the way that it is sort of served is you kind of have the idea of a main dish, and then you have a bunch of other side dishes, and everything is ultimately to be eaten with rice. Right, so this idea of, oh, all you're eating is just like a kimchi stew, it's not very correct. Traditionally, you would have your banchan. You'd have your plethora of little side dishes that would go along, maybe a meat dish or two, and then it would be easier to do if you're scaling up for a lot of people. And these side dishes hold in the fridge exceptionally well, especially the cucumber salad that we're doing, the Muchim, and the spinach. So these are the kinds of things that you can do a couple of days in advance, keep them in your fridge, and then you can just basically eat them cold. And the chicken stew itself, right, the kimchi jjigae, you can reheat that as needed. The only thing is the tofu in there might start to crumble up a little bit. So to me, this is the essence of home food. It is easily reheatable. It is easy for you to be able to, just make in advance ahead of time as needed. And that's the kind of food that I love to make the most at home. My least favorite kind of food are things that can't reheat well or things that can't be transformed into something else. How am I today? Asks Blue Streak Sonic. I'm doing quite well. Hope you're doing well yourself. So let's talk about everything that's going to go into the food today. First up, we have the big dish. We have the chicken kimchi jjigae. And of course, we need a bunch of kimchi. This is over 2 pounds of kimchi. I'm not going to need more than 2 pounds. I'm going to need about 2 pounds of kimchi in total. Ideally, I would love to get into the habit of starting to make my own kimchi because store-bought kimchi is way too expensive for what it is. Also, welcome on in everybody. So this jar of kimchi near me was $12 for what is essentially fermented cabbage. That should not be happening. So, at some point or another, I'd really like to get into the habit of making my own kimchi, but in the meantime, this is what we'll be using, okay? Smallest kimchi portion of average kimchi enjoyer. That's right. It's a big jar, but we'll be using most of this today, if you can believe it. Okay. Then, if you guys remember on the last stream, when we broke down a whole chicken, okay, we have some chicken breasts and we have some chicken thighs, and this we'll be making the stew out of. And then, as a byproduct, last stream, we made a bunch of chicken stock as well. Right? And all of that chicken stock will be used in service of the kimchi jjigae today. So, in addition to that, we have the two most fundamental ingredients in Korean cooking. Ready? Gochujang and gochugaru. This is it, okay? Gochugaru is the red pepper flake. You see this everywhere. The gochujang is the fermented red pepper paste. And this, in addition to doenjang, are like the 3 Korean staple flavors that you see in a lot of different dishes. Okay, so you can't really be making Korean food without these unless you're making something doenjang based. But these are really, really delicious. Yes, it is a staple. It's not just any red pepper flake, it's specifically gochugaru. Okay? Those vinyl gloves accentuate the dog claw hands? I suppose they do, don't they? Yes, gochugaru is very, very important. That's right. So, what else is going to be going into this? We have some onions as well. And overall, it's going to be a very, very simple stew. Right? Just chicken broth, chicken pieces, onion, kimchi, gochujang, gochugaru, really, really simple flavors. And we don't even really need to add a lot of salt because there's going to be plenty of salt added in by the kimchi, and then we'll adjust it as needed. So simple stuff. Then, let's talk about the cucumber salad. Guess what? We're gonna take these cucumbers, we're gonna slice them up really nice and thin, we're gonna salt them so that we extract any excess liquid out of it. The thing that I hate most about cucumber salads is how wet they get. They get so watery and they get so bland because the cucumber water ends up diluting it. So we're gonna salt it, we're gonna let it sit with the salt, and then strain out all that liquid. Okay, also welcome on in, Sad Cheese Man. So we're gonna do that, and it's gonna be mixed up with some gochugaru, it's gonna be mixed up with some soy sauce, some garlic, some sesame seeds, and the spinach is gonna be done in a very similar way. This spinach, we're gonna blanch it, okay? We're going to drain all the water out, and then we're gonna mix it up with some soy sauce, mix it up with some garlic as well. It's gonna be really nice and light. So overall, this is a very healthy meal if you think about it, right? We have a lovely little cucumber salad. We have like this blanched spinach dish. We have this really hearty, delicious, meaty stew. And to go alongside all of it, the most fundamental component is going to be the rice. We're gonna make a nice big pot of rice to eat everything else with. Also, Moonha, I have not played it yet because I have never played Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So, here's the first step, everybody. We need to talk about making the broth. We need to talk about actually making the liquid base of the kimchi stew for today. Okay? So, it is essentially a fortified stock. Okay? It's a fortified stock. Traditionally, you would use anchovies, you would use a little bit of kelp, and you would use maybe some onion scraps. But I already have chicken stock that I'm working with. So, instead of going out of my way and buying a bunch of dried anchovies to make an anchovy stock, I'm just going to use the chicken stock that I currently have. Is it traditional? No, but I am adapting this to what I currently have available, and I'm going to fortify it with the kelp, which I'll show you right now. Nice big package of dried kelp here. Okay, and we're going to throw a little piece in. It's going to give the whole thing a little bit more oomph, and then we're going to take it out and fish it out, and we're going to have a delicious stock that way. Okay, so let us begin. I think we should start by going over, my friends, to the stove. Because at the stove is where we will start building the stock for the stew today. Okay, I'm gonna move my Dutch oven out of the way. This is where we'll be making the stew. And this is the pot where we will make the fortified stock. Okay, first step. We gotta get a nice little piece of kelp out. Now, you don't need to go crazy with this stuff. You only need a piece, I don't know, people say 3 inches, 6 inches. Just snap off a piece of kelp, and it's gonna be fine. Don't overthink it. This might be a lot of kelp though, so maybe not this much. Don't overthink this. Don't get so crazy about the measurements or anything, my friends. Just get the kelp and put it into the pot. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and put my kelp away now. Now let's get that chicken stock out that I was talking about before. Surely you remember. So, some of my delicious homemade chicken stock that I reduced the other day. Now we're just going to fortify it with the kelp. So, I dropped my ladle. It's fine. It's okay. Is the kelp pot sized or is the pot kelp sized? The pot is kelp sized. That's a good question. Jack asked me, what did Jack ask me? What type of kelp is that you use? That's an excellent question. This is actually just a generic dried kelp that I found. I don't actually know the differences between something like this and kombu, which is like the Japanese dried kelp that you see used in a lot of different soups and stuff. So this is just quite literally labeled only as dry kelp. So, good question. That Dutch oven is lovely. Thank you, Zach. Okay, yes, that's right. We have fancy question pop-ups again. We didn't have it for some time, but now it's back in business. So, we need a little bit of stock for the stew today. We're gonna need about, in total, I wanna say 4 to 6 cups. So let's say one more of these. And so, everybody, really important that you need to understand, okay? I need you all to tap in. I need you all to listen to me for a second. Okay, my hair is getting in my face today. Sorry for interrupting myself. You don't want to overcook the kelp in the stock itself. The timing on this is pretty essential. Whereas a lot of people, they feel like they're really used to the idea of, oh, we're gonna cook the stock down for hours and hours and develop a lot of flavor. If you overcook that kelp, it can get quite bitter and it's gonna get quite gloopy in a weird way. You don't wanna do that. You don't wanna get those bitter flavors out of the kelp. And so we're gonna bring it to a boil and then we're gonna simmer it for around 15 minutes or so. And that's gonna be it, and then we're gonna pull the kelp out. You do not want to overcook that kelp. You will get an unpleasant aftertaste out of it if you do that, okay? So, I'm gonna get that going. Just bring it up to a boil, drop to a simmer, and cook it as long as it needs to be cooked for. Bring it to a boil, cook it for 15 minutes. Is that understood? Oh. My voice lately has been dying a little bit. Ouch. I gotta chill out a little bit. Okay. So that's done. That's being taken care of now. Now I suppose we can go on over to the cutting board. So, Jack asks me, what did Jack ask me? I'm gonna pop up everybody's questions today on the thing, okay? Or at least try my best to. Do I have any tips for cooking with induction instead of gas? And my answer is, the only thing is you have to be really conscious about the kinds of pans that you're using, because induction stoves, they require it to be magnetic. It has to actually magnetize to the bottom of the pan itself. Other than that, the heat control is just different. The only thing is you have to build up a lot of intuition. The heat control of like what a high heat means on a gas versus induction can get a lot hotter. So I would honestly say for induction, my general rule of thumb is you use less heat than you think you need and heat it up for a longer amount of time. Okay. Muna, that's such a good idea. And Jack, by the way, thank you for the question. It was an excellent question. Who is sous chef here? You all my little sous chefs. That's right, that's you. I'm talking about you. Okay, so we gotta talk about the stew food today. And again, fundamentally, this is going to be a really, really simple stew, okay? It's just going to be onions, it's going to be chicken, it's going to be kimchi. So, first step, let us cut up the kimchi. Or not the kimchi, the chicken. I have a different cutting board that I specifically use for the chicken, so I don't have to contaminate anything else. Let's get that out now. And so, we need to think about this for a second. Traditionally, for a kimchi jjigae, you would never really have sort of seared chicken. All of the ingredients are boiled. I do like to sear it a little bit, just so that we could develop a little bit of extra color. Okay, and so my idea at the moment is I have all of the skin attached. I want to brown up my thighs. I want to brown up my chicken breast skin, and then I want to add the chicken breast later on. The chicken breasts themselves, they'll cook a lot quicker than the thighs will. And so we want to add the thighs in the beginning of the process, and then the chicken breasts about halfway through to ensure that we have like tender melt in your mouth thighs, but we want to have chicken breast that's not overcooked. Because not every single part of the chicken is used the same. Now, this issue gets solved if you're using all the same cut of chicken, but that's not what we have because I work with exclusively whole chickens. So here's what we're gonna do. Let's open up my box of chicken and let's start thinking about the pieces that we want. And so I think I'm going to just start with whole chicken breast pieces. I'm not going to do anything to them. I'm going to sear them and I'm gonna take the skin off of them after I sear them. And the reason for that is because I don't want to get like that sort of like gummy, unpleasant skin, okay? So I'm going to just leave those aside, as well as the chicken tenders. I'm going to just set those aside. In fact, there is one bit of prep that I'll do for them. There is a little bit of prep. There's something that you can do to chicken tenders, my friends. No, we're gonna have to take the skin off after it cooks because otherwise it gets very gummy and unpleasant. So, here's what you can do. You can quite literally take your chicken tender, and I've already forgot how to do it. That's right. You take a paper towel, or a towel or anything. No, this is halal chicken. We're going to take a fork. We're going to put it in between this little tendon right here. Oh, try not to get the paper towel itself. And then you can just pull it off. You can pull the entirety of the chicken tender's tendon off. And this is the one chewy bit left inside of the tender. And now all of this is pure, easy to eat, delicious meat. Okay? Let's do the same thing to the other side. I forgot how to do it for a second, and then I remembered how to get it done. So, turn it around. Let's pop that tender out. Let's see, can I pull this thing off? This one's a little bit more stuck in there this time. Okay. Grab the paper towel just so that's a little less sticky. Also, 5 cents, thank you so much for the sub. Yeah, this is a little bit less wasteful, but the only issue at the moment is I am not able to get the kind of grip that I want on the chicken at the moment. I want to grab it by this tendon and I want to pull the whole thing off. Okay, it did the job. It was a little bit wasteful because I ended up, kind of smushing it around a little bit, but that's okay. Can the tendon be used for anything else? Not really. No, there's not a whole lot else that you can use for it. Okay, my friends, guess what? The stock, I can hear it. It's about to come to a boil. We're going to bring it to a boil, drop to a simmer, and cook it for 15 minutes. No less, no more. Okay, we have these whole chicken legs. Let's think about what we want to do with these. Okay, my friends? So, first step, we got to separate this, the leg from the thigh. Look at this. You see this little fat line? You see this fat line right here? All you need to do is just draw a direct line, and then you'll be able to separate the leg from the thigh. Ready? Draw the fat line, and off the whole thing goes. Perfect. Okay, peel back the skin. You see this fat line? Follow that fat line, and off it all goes together. Beautiful. Okay, my friends, guess what? The stock, I can hear it boiling. Oh no, is the kelp just squelching on the sides? Yeah, I can hear it boiling. We're going to turn on the timer now for about 16 minutes or so. Again, you don't want to overboil that. You don't want to overcook it. Okay, and now, here's what I want to do. I want to debone these. I do want to bone these. Not debone. Debone is a little bit redundant. We don't have any use for the chicken thigh bones in a dish like this. And thus I want to get rid of it. Okay. So here's what we're going to do, my friends. We're going to make a little incision here. And then all we're going to do is go on either side of the thigh bone. Right? This is the thigh bone. We're going to just split it here. We're going to go on either side of it. It's a lot easier to do this with a small knife, but I don't have my small knife at the moment. And you're just going to basically trace that bone out. You're going to scrape it and trace it out until you can see how much it pops out. It's really, really easy. The only thing you need for a step like this is a sharp knife, and you'll be able to get it done. I promise. Okay. We're getting there slowly but surely. Try to go as close to the bone as possible to make sure that you're not wasting any of it if you can help it. Okay? And there you go. That is now one thigh bone. That is a Cooking with Jack shirt. Thank you for noticing. Take a look, my friends. One thigh bone officially popped out. Beautiful. Thank you for noticing. Not many people notice it. Okay, sweet. Now let's do the same exact thing to the other one. I don't actually know what I'm going to do with the chicken legs. I might just leave them whole and take the skin off. Chef, do I like wine? Asks Stuart McNasty, and the answer is not really. But the answer is that's because I kind of have an alcohol intolerance, and any alcohol tends to make me feel a little bit sick. So I'm going to respectfully say no. It's kind of difficult for me to justify drinking when it just has never made me feel too good. Okay. That is a Cooking with Jack shirt, that's right. I got it as a gift from a friend. Okay, scrape all the meat off this one bone. You're gonna go in there and you're gonna take off the whole bone. And there you go, my friends. That's another beautifully separated thigh. The only thing is, we wanna just make sure that we get rid of any remaining little teeny tiny bits of cartilage that could be left over from the joint. You want to just feel nothing but nice, smooth meat all the way around. Clean it up as you need it. Okay. Okay. So, my friends, now we have these legs, and this is the bit of an issue for me. I don't actually know how to debone a chicken leg. The thighs I know how to debone. The chicken leg I'm not so confident on. And so, I think the only thing I'm going to do is just take the skin off of it. I'm going to take the skin off of it because otherwise in the cooking process it's just going to get kind of gum. You know what? No, we're not going to bother with that. That's enough. So, we just deboned the chicken thighs and we separated the tendon from the tendons themselves. Okay? I don't think I'm going to try to take the skin off the thighs, off the legs or anything. We're going to brown it all up, and we're going to get some really nice color and everything. The only pieces that we won't brown will be these tendons themselves because they're so soft and delicate. Okay? And the tendons and breasts we're going to add later in the process. The dark meat, we want to cook it all the longest. Okay? We want to make sure that it's fully cooked through. We want to make sure that it's really tender, that it's really like shredding apart and melting in your mouth. And that's the texture that we're going to go for, my friends. So, now the question is, do I want to sear these? I do. I do. Okay. That all goes over here. The tenders I'm setting aside for now. Excellent. And now, I'm going to go ahead and just clean up my station a little bit. Gotta wash off my knife really quickly because it is contaminated and I have a bunch of other stuff to prep today. So bear with me for a moment. And I'm going to throw that cutting board into the dishwasher. Okay, hi. Sorry about that, everybody. We hanging in there? We doing good? I hope so. So, once again, all we did just now, we just deboned the thighs. We're gonna keep the chicken legs bone in. I should probably learn how to debone a chicken leg at some point or another. I just feel like this big knife at the moment is a little too clunky to get such a delicate process done. And we have the stock on the stove at the moment as well, so don't forget about that. This is the kelp stock that we're making with the homemade chicken stock. And after another 11 minutes or so of cook time, we're just going to take the kelp out and we're gonna throw it away, okay? So, dried my knife off. It's a carbon steel knife, so you always wanna make sure it's nice and dry. I'm going to throw the old contaminated cutting board into the dishwasher, as I have no use for it at the moment. I guess I want another cutting board to slice the meat afterwards too, but that's okay. Okay. And then I'm gonna go ahead and put the chicken behind me. We're gonna talk about all the other components, my friends. So just taking a second to organize, make sure my station is nice and clean. Okay, hi. Let's head back to the cutting board. Now we have to talk about everything else that we need to do today. So, we have to slice up some scallions. We have to slice up some kimchi. And we also need to slice up some onions. So for the stew itself, I have this half an onion that I just want to use up. This was from another dish a while ago. It's developed actually a little too thick of a skin. We're going to use in total, I want to say 1.5 onions for everything. We'll do 1.5 onions. I'm going to go ahead and grab another. Perfect. Nice big onion over here. I'm going to glove up. And so, the onion itself, it's not going to get particularly fried or anything unless you really want to. We are going to have a bunch of chicken fat left over after we sear the chicken, so you know what? We may as well fry the onions. We're going to sear the chicken, we're going to get the fat out under it, and then we're going to fry the onions in its own fat, in the chicken fat that is. So, first up, everybody. We have a whole onion right here. You're gonna slice the head off, not the root. You're gonna just slice the head off of the onion. You're going to flip it down where the head once stood. You're going to slice it in half through the root of the onion because the root is going to help to keep it all together while we cut it. But actually, in this case, we're just doing a julienne, so we don't really need to do all that. I've just contradicted myself. Just peel it off. Once we have it, it is really easy to peel it off. We don't actually need the butts of the onion, as I suspected. Slice those off. Excellent. And get all of that onion skin off. Do I have a favorite holiday? I don't, actually. I guess maybe Thanksgiving, only because of the food, but I haven't really celebrated that many holidays. Okay, my friends. So, we've got to talk about slicing up the onion. There's two ways to typically slice an onion when somebody tells you to slice an onion. The way that most people do it for salads, because it looks pretty, is they try to slice it like this. This is perpendicular to the flow of the cell of the onions. The onion cells are kind of elongated, and they follow this sort of path. The grain of the onion almost. This is how you do it for salads, just because it looks pretty that way. The issue is, it can get overly pungent in its raw stage, and it tends to make you cry a little bit easier. If you're just going to saute this, if you're just going to cook it down, we're going to slice it parallel to this, and we can easily get through all of this onion. So these are nice, like medium to thin, like thick slices. They're not too thick, they're not too thin. They're not so thin that they'll actually fall apart in the stew, but they're not so thick that you're going to bite into like a big, chunky raw onion. Okay, so it's like a very nice balance between the two. I'm gonna go ahead and take a bench scraper. I'm gonna scoop it all up. Excellent. Always have a bench scraper by your station, my friends. So again, somewhere like a nice medium thick slice. It doesn't have to be too precise for something like this. And we're never chopping. We're only slicing. We're using the full length of the blade. Okay? I am crying a little bit though. Save me, please. Okay? That's that. Excellent. Next up, scallions. We're gonna need a bunch of scallions today. Oh, whoa, why is it so pungent today? Ow, that really sucks. My knife is like super sharp too. It's not like I'm hacking through it. I'm taking a second to breathe. Ugh. Help. Please, somebody help me. Okay. Oof, brutal. Yeah, I think it might actually just be my gloves because I have a tendency to keep like touching my hair while I cook, and I might have just gotten like too close to my face. So, that's all that. Next up, scallions. I am going to cut up these scallions for the fresh application a little bit later on, but every single dish today is going to include scallions to some extent. This is Korean cooking after all. The scallions are just all over the place, and I love them for it. Okay. How much time is left? We have about 5 minutes left on the stock. So, here's what we're gonna do. Let's get some scallions out. Let's get some of the whites out themselves. We're going to cook down the whites, and then we're going to garnish it with the scallion greens. Okay? So I have a nice container of scallions that I've already pre-washed. Just have them sitting in a container, ready to go. Here's all the white parts. Lovely. Okay, and then these greens I'm gonna tuck in, and we're going to use that a little bit later on in the process. So, as far as these scallions, we're gonna do nice big pieces. These are going to cook alongside the onion. Okay, my friends? And the scallion greens are gonna be used for garnish. So we want like nice, cute diagonal pieces It doesn't have to be too perfect once again. You just want to make sure they're nice and big so that these pieces don't really fall apart. These are going to get cooked down. These are going to get super, super delicious. Okay? Let's go ahead and set that aside. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make the seasoning paste for the kimchi jjigae itself. Let's gather up all these scallions. Let's put that away. Lovely. Okay, that is now done, my friends. A lot of alliums, right? A lot of onions, a lot of garlic as well is going to be making an appearance today. What else do we need to prep? Kimchi, that is. Okay, let's talk about that a little bit. So here's what's going to happen, my friends. We need in total about 1 pound of kimchi. This is a slightly consumed container of about 3 pounds of kimchi. So we're going to need like 2/3 of this. A little less than 2/3. I'm going to grab some chopsticks just so I can easily take it out of this. And we're just going to pile on a bunch of kimchi onto my cutting board. And all we're going to do is we're going to just chop it up into slightly smaller pieces. Okay? You can never have too much kimchi, absolutely. Especially in what is a kimchi stew. And all the kimchi liquid that is in here, all the broth itself, the kimchi like pickling juice, is also going to go into the stew. So, in total, we need about 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds for this amount of stew that we're making today. Ah, it's just sticking to my chopsticks. Okay, come on, buddy. Come on out. I know you can do it. You can never have too much kimchi, you say, and then you see the quantity that I'm doing for you. This is crazy. Okay. Ah, I'm so sorry, camera. I'll never do that to you again. I apologize. Is making kimchi or buying kimchi better? Jack, you should be making your own if you can. I never got into the habit of doing it yet. Okay, we're gonna do one more scoop of kimchi. Guys, do you think this is enough kimchi? I think this is enough kimchi now. Great. I'm making a huge pot of soup today. I really want to clarify that. And thus, we need this much. Nah, not enough? I think it's plenty. I think this is enough. This is close to 2 pounds now. Okay. The stock is actually now done, by the way. So let's head to the stove really quick before we go into prepping this. Okay. Let's head to the stove. And all we're going to do, my friends, we're going to shut off the heat. We're going to shut off the timer. And I'm going to go ahead and fish out this kelp. We don't want it to extract any more into this lovely stock. Okay? The kelp has now done its job for us. It's imparted a good amount of flavor. It's given the stock a lot of oomph. Okay? And so we just want to set it aside. It's done a good job. Everybody, please say thank you to the kelp. Remember, do not overcook that kelp under any circumstances. It will get very bitter and it will get very, very unpleasant very quickly. So, let's head back over here. I don't see anybody saying thank you to the kelp. What's going on? This is, my friends, in total, about 2 pounds of kimchi. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Grimpy. Really appreciate it. So, we don't have to get too crazy with this. We just want to make sure that our pieces of kimchi aren't too big, because you want this to fit into a nice spoonful, right? And it's not going to get that much smaller in the cooking process. So all of the actual like chopping and processing, this does need to happen now. Excellent. Ooh, this is a lot of kimchi I'm working with. Again, you don't have to be perfect with this process or anything. We're just assembling this as needed. Okay. I think that'll just about do it. I love kimchi so much. Okay, my friends, we're gonna do one quick thing. We're going to put it into the pot with the chicken stock, because this is all gonna get added around the same time. So I just have my pot here. I'm going to scoop this in. And no, Trash Panda, unfortunately, it is not homemade kimchi. I know, it's a tragedy. It is store-bought. And I would really, really like to get into the habit of making my own, because store-bought kimchi just pales in comparison, and it is way too expensive. Way too expensive. Homemade kimchi is so much cheaper. Okay. I'm just throwing that into the stock because it's going to get added at the same time. We're using a bench scraper to just get as much of the liquid as possible. Also, Software, thank you so much for the 6-month total sub. Whoa, I appreciate you being cute. We're just cleaning up our boiling. We're basically squeegeeing it off. Right? We don't want to waste any of it. We want it to all go into today's soup. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and clean off my gloves now. Take the pot away. And get this aside. Sweet. Now, I gotta clean up my boiled a little bit. Have I made kimchi before? I have not, no. Not actually made kimchi before, but I've made kimchi jjigae quite a few times. Okay. Maybe that'll be like a fun stream if I do like a dedicated pickling stream, right? And we'll have like the fresh kimchi to eat, and then later on it'll be fermented. It'll be really delicious. Okay. Cleaning off my boiled, making sure it's nice and dry because we have other things that we need to do on it. Gonna wipe off my knife as well. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That'd be a very fun stream to do. Okay. That got a little messy. I think I just overcrowded my cutting board with the kimchi, but it's okay. So, what kind of cow meat do I usually use for burgers? Jack, I don't normally make burgers at home, but usually I would just be opting for like a chuck, just like a beef shoulder, because it has like a nice amount of fat. Fat to meat ratio, it's also cheap enough. I very firmly don't believe using steak cuts for something like a burger unless they're like scraps from something else that you've already had. Okay, my friends, guess what? The chicken stock is made for the kimchi jjigae. And we just dumped in all of the kimchi. As well, so we fortified the chicken stock with the kelp. We threw in the kimchi, and we're also going to add a little bit of kimchi juice to the whole thing from the pot. Head back to the stove. Ooh, Jake, I hope you enjoy the Food Lab. It's a very good cookbook. There's not a lot of cookbooks that I say are actually good. That is one of the few. Okay, all I'm going to do, I'm just going to strain out some of this and dump it in there. Excellent. And that has now done its job. We do not need any more kimchi. I'm going to just wipe that off because my container got really, really wet, and I'll throw it into the fridge. I'm a little bit messy today, and I don't like that. I really don't love that. Normally I'm very like clean and composed in the kitchen. Sometimes. Today's not one of those days. Okay, hi. Let's take a second to chill. So, what do we need to make? We need to make essentially the seasoning paste for the kimchi jjigae, which is going to be a combination of gochujang, of gochugaru, of, what else do we have going in there? I think also some garlic, a little bit of sesame seed oil, but maybe we'll just finish with the sesame seed oil instead. Is that really all that it's going to be? Yeah, it's pretty simple. Actually, it's really, really simple stuff. So we just got to make the paste that's going to go into it. In fact, I think we can all just dump that into the same pot, right? We don't have to like mess around with it or anything. We can just throw the gochujang and the gochugaru into the pot with the stock in it. Okay, sweet. So here's what we're gonna do. Let's go back to the cutting board. I'm gonna grab this pot that we have right here. We're not gonna mix it in. This is just where I'm storing all of the ingredients. Because remember, we're still going to try and sear the chicken. And Duolingo has my family. I do not add any sugar, no. Because I don't actually genuinely think it needs it, even if it's not traditional. And I try my best not to cook with sugar whenever I can. So, the answer is no. And that is not necessarily a traditional omission. It's only because it is kind of opposed to my culinary philosophy. I don't like adding sugar into things unless I absolutely have to. Okay, gochugaru. We're going to need about 2 big tablespoons. 1 and 2. Also, by the way, if anybody has any questions ever, I really encourage you to ask them. I should be doing a better job of trying to display them. It's a little bit difficult, I guess, when I'm in the middle of doing other stuff, but... Okay. So that's the gochugaru. Remember, that's the red pepper flakes. And now, the next most important addition is going to be the gochujang itself. So in total, we're gonna need about 4 tablespoons. You don't really have to measure this if you want. I'm still a little bit new to Korean cooking overall. And so I measure it a little bit more, I guess, deliberately than I usually would, okay? So that's 1. That's 2. These are big tablespoons I'm using too. So maybe I might just use 3 of these spoons that I've used. Okay, 3. Excellent. 3 of these bad boys, and I think that's gonna be plenty. Okay? Don't worry, don't worry. This soup is still gonna be filled up. You see this amount of stock? We're going to need to use more stock later on. Yeah, gochujang is not all that spicy. I could, right? You can just put it on your tongue. It's not that spicy. Especially when it cooks down, especially when the onions cook down. Gochujang, I believe gochugaru is used to make kimchi. I don't know if gochujang is used to make kimchi. So I know the red pepper flake is used, but I don't know if the actual fermented pepper paste is used. I hope that answers your question. Okay. I need to really be displaying what people are saying to me on stream. I'm just not doing it. Okay. I'm hoping this is spicy. I'm hoping so too. There's no point in doing this if it's not spicy. Okay? So, once again, a bunch of gochujang, a bunch of gochugaru, and the kimchi itself, and the stock that we made. Let's go ahead and move this aside. Last step, we have to prep a bunch of garlic. Okay. Oof. I'm moving a little bit too quickly for myself. I need to just take a second to slow down. Okay. Hi. So, kimchi jjigae. We're done with almost all of the components. The last step is going to be us searing the meat itself. We're going to get some color on it. And then we're going to throw in the onions. So that's not a very traditional step. Usually it would just be boiled. But I want to really get some like good caramelized flavor. And then we're going to throw in the kimchi, the, gochugaru, the gochujang, everything. Oh no, I think I made a mistake. I think I'm supposed to have the gochujang and the gochugaru later. I don't think it's actually supposed to boil with everything. Oh well, I guess we'll figure it out if it actually has an impact. I don't think you can overcook gochujang and gochugaru. Slight mistake. It'll be fine. Yeah, it's not very traditional to do it that way either, but I think it'll be fine. I feel a little bit silly for making that mistake. That's what I get for moving so fast. I'm gonna have some more water. And remember, we're also making a bunch of other dishes. We're gonna be making cucumber salad. We're gonna be making the seasoned spinach as well. Okay? Yeah, it's gonna be a little experiment in its own way. Okay. And then we also have some tofu that'll be added in later on as well. So I'm pretty excited about that. The tofu last time was basically my favorite part about the jjigae. The tofu, the firm tofu, it's really, really delicious. It has such like a nice chew to it and everything. And we're gonna be using a whole package of tofu as well. Okay. So here's what's gonna happen. We're gonna cook everything. We're gonna sear it up. Oh, I want some garlic in here. I definitely want some garlic. It is just firm tofu, so not extra firm. Although theoretically, you can use any kind of tofu that you want. I really, really like the suppleness of a firm tofu. It's just my favorite. Okay. Hi, I figured out my shit. I understand what we're doing now. Garlic. Let's do it. Let's get it done. I'm sorry for being a little all over the place today. I don't know what's going on with me. We're gonna use up all of this garlic for the jjigae. And we're gonna fry it with the onions. It's gonna be really nice. Let's get all the garlic out. Okay? We're gonna use a bench scraper just so that we can separate it from the skin. In fact, while I'm doing that, let's head to the stove really quickly. I'm gonna set the Dutch oven on, and what I'm actually going to do is, I'm going to put the chicken on cold, skin side down, intentionally. We're doing cold chicken, skin side down, so that we can really slowly get the fat out of the chicken and get it really nice and crispy. Okay? So, let's grab some tongs. We're gonna put it right in the Dutch oven, just like this. skin side down, cold Dutch oven, nice and low and slow, and I promise you, it's going to naturally unstick with a little bit of cooking. We want to get that skin rendered. We want to get all the fat out of it. Okay, my friends? So putting it down, make sure it's in as even contact as possible with the bottom. It's okay if it's a little crowded because it's just going to shrink. Okay? Where is the press? You don't need a press for this. That's a good question. You don't need a press for something like this. Again, this chicken, all of it is going to be chopped up after we do this. We just want to get the fat out of it. So, we're turning on the heat, nice medium. Let's head back to the cutting board. We want to get smashing with all the garlic. We want to separate it. 1, 2. In fact, I think we could use more garlic. I don't think that's enough for me. That was already smashed up. Yeah, this isn't enough garlic. Okay. I'm just gonna get the skin off this and I'm gonna get some fresh garlic in here too. I like being nice and aggressive with my garlic. Only thing is we have to slice off this bit. It seemed a little spoiled on that end. Okay. Let's get some more garlic, my friends. Wait, am I out? No. Whew. Thankfully, I still have a head of garlic. Okay, that really scared me. So everybody, once again, rules of using a Dutch oven. You never want to blast it with too high of a heat. We're doing a medium heat at most. If you feel like it's not hot enough, you just want to heat it up for longer, and you're going to get a very nice even temperature all the way through. You never want to take a Dutch oven and blast it with heat, because remember, it is enameled. And so, as always, I'm taking the garlic off of the actual rest of the head. I'm taking the cloves off of the head over a bowl, because all of those papery skins, they get all over your cutting board if you don't do that. Then, we take it, we smash it all down to separate the skin. Excellent. Smashed down really nicely. Yes, Jake, I looked at it and it just looked like a little bit off. It looked like a little spoiled on the outside of it. If there is a part of it that just seems like black or like brown or like dried off, you can just easily snip that part out. Okay. It's gonna happen all the time. It's garlic, you know? Okay, so, really important. We're gonna use my favorite tool again. We're gonna use the garlic press. I'm gonna put on gloves. You know why? Chopping garlic and trying to get it completely minced is a little bit of a tedious process. Oh, I can hear the chicken is currently going. And again, don't worry about the seasoning or the salting on the chicken. We'll be able to season up as we go. And in fact, I think we're going to need even more garlic because I want garlic for some of the other dishes as well. For those guys, we're just going to do 2 more cloves. This is just for the cucumber salad and for the spinach itself. We don't need that much more additional garlic, okay? Also, welcome on in, Dusky. Hope you're having a good day today. I'm sorry that this is like my 3rd time already peeling garlic. It's getting a little tedious, I know. We just have to get it done. Okay, peeled off. My music needs to loop, excuse me. I'd really appreciate if it did that. Thank you. Let's get the garlic skin off once again. Excellent. It just pops out. Perfect. Okay, let's get a plate. Get a little knife, get a little plate. Let's start pressing some garlic, my friends. Okay, get it all inside. And let's stuff it in. My garlic press is jamming slightly. It doesn't want to go in all the way. There we go. And then we just press out the garlic. All the way through. Next one going in. Next one. You want to get through all of this. And again, the majority of this is going to go towards the stew, towards the kimchi jjigae, and we're going to save some for the salad. For the cucumber salad, and for the spinach. Okay. One last one to press. A lot of garlic, my friends, but guess what? You can't actually have too much garlic. In most contexts. Jack, that's a good question. This is just whatever garlic I got in my local supermarket. I've tried using like elephant garlic and stuff before, but that's like kind of a little bit more seasonal. Yeah, this is just plain regular supermarket garlic. We don't really necessarily have a variety where I'm at. Okay. Let's get all the garlic off of it. Excellent. Look at that big pile. Beautiful. I'm gonna throw this into my sink. Get rid of this. Okay, little recap, my friends. Let's have a little recap session. So, currently on the stove, we currently have the chicken itself that is searing away for the kimchi jjigae. We also have this beautiful pot, okay? And it is filled with the homemade chicken stock that we fortified with kelp, gochujang, gochugaru, as well as the kimchi, okay? And then on the cutting board, we just finished up the onions, we finished up the scallions, and we've also finished up the garlic. So, let's take a second. I see that we have a question. I'm gonna do my best to answer it right now. So, Razrael says, I saw garlic and I wanted to know if you had a tip to keep it sticking, to stop it from sticking when mincing. I do have a tip for you. I do have a tip, and here's my tip. Use a garlic press. A garlic press is excellent to stop you from having a really, really sticky cutting board. It gets really unpleasant that way. Now, let's say you don't own a garlic press and you don't want to do that. My tip, have a slightly wet cutting board. Having a slightly wet cutting board and having like a slightly wet knife, like splashing a little bit of water on the garlic, actually stops it from getting too sticky. If it's a completely dry cutting board, if it's a completely dry knife, that's when it really tends to stick the most. I hope that helps. So that's what I do whenever I don't have a garlic press immediately available to me. That's a good question. Okay, let's head to the stove. So having a slightly wet knife, but it is always my preference to just use a garlic press. Okay, so guess what? You can see that the chicken meat is completely stuck to the bottom of the pan. That is okay. All that means is we want to give it a second and it's going to naturally detach. It will naturally detach from the bottom of the pan, I promise. The worst thing that you can do is try to pry it off because you're getting impatient and unstick it. No, when the skin is ready, when the skin is crispy, when the skin has released, it will then unstick itself. It has a natural regulating system for this kind of thing. So here's the order of operations. We have to finish cooking the chicken on the side. Then we're going to take it out. We're going to let it rest for a second. We're going to slice up the chicken into pieces. I'm going to separate the breasts from the thighs. The thighs and the legs, they'll go in now. I'll saute the onions and I'll add in this beautiful stock, kimchi, gochujang, and gochugaru. Okay? We're going to cook it a bunch. Then we're going to add the tofu, as well as the chicken breast pieces, and that's going to cook for another 10 minutes or so. And the reason we separate the white meat from the dark meat is because if we cook both of them the same, you're either going to have dark meat that's too chewy, if you want to get perfectly cooked breasts, or you'll have breasts that are way overcooked by the time the thighs are ready. Because thighs and chicken breasts, they don't cook at the same rate. It's very important for you to understand. Okay. Just giving it a second. You can see it's still stuck on all sides here. It's totally okay. Only if you like smell something burning, you should really forcibly detach it. Otherwise, just let it be. Let it do its own thing. And we're also slowly getting all the chicken fat out of it that we'll use to cook the onions. Okay, just give it a second. Let it do its thing. Give it time. It just needs a little bit of time. It needs a little bit of love. So, I think that is actually all of the prep for the kimchi jjigae itself. We have the garlic done. We have the scallions done. We have the onions done. Those are the three big components left. And we have everything that's going to constitute the soup. The only thing left, I suppose, would be to slice up the tofu, which I suppose we can get done right now. And again, I also want to clarify something. We're going to take this out and then we're going to slice it up. It's going to be a little bit undercooked, but that's okay. I like to cook whole pieces of meat before slicing, and instead of having a bunch of little pieces and then stir frying it. The reason for this is because if I want to develop color, it's going to take longer for it to cook. It gives me a bigger window of time to actually develop color and browning on it without it sort of falling apart and getting too soft. Okay? Okay. Jack asks me, what type of tofu do you use? Let's find out. Today I'm using this brand of firm tofu. I like firm. I like the toothsomeness of firm. You can use extra firm. There is a variation that uses softer tofu. I think it's called like sundubu jjigae, something like that. But this is not sundubu. I forgot what it was called. But there is a variation of kimchi jjigae that uses softer tofu. This is the one that I use. This is the one that I really like. Okay? And so I'm just gonna set that aside. We're gonna eat that a little bit later on. Let's head back to the stove. And by the way, we're just taking a second to chill out now. If anybody has any questions, now would probably be the best time to ask him. It still is stuck to the pan. Again, we're not gonna force it, we're not gonna rush it, we're just gonna let it do its thing, okay? Give it a couple more minutes, and if I feel like I'm getting anxious about it, we'll get rid of it. So, the other two things that needs to happen, the three things, we have to make the rice, we have to make the cucumbers, and we have to make the spinach. The cucumbers, I believe we should actually start now. I want them to really sit with the salt, and it's gonna release a bunch of liquid that way. It's really, really important, okay? So, let's head back to the cutting board. I'm gonna get rid of this knife, I don't need it. And the cucumbers, we're gonna take our time with. These were just washed up. I'm gonna cut the butts off of them. And then, nice, thin slices, my friends. Thin. And slice it, don't chop it. If you chop it, you'll cleave it. And you're going to get a piece that's thicker on one end and thinner on the other. Okay? So slice it. Look at these beautiful slices. Look at this. Also, lethargic monkey, I'm doing great. Look at these slices. Beautiful, huh? So go slow. Take your time. Be patient. And this is the only thing that really needs to happen in advance. And that's only because we really want them to sit with the salt. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and check on the chicken again. Let's see if it's detaching at all. Is it ready to come off? Whoa, that bad boy is just stuck, isn't it? Oh, I'm getting a little nervous. Nah, it's fine. It's gonna be fine. The smell is not telling me that it's burning yet. We're gonna give it a few more minutes though. Let's be patient. Guys, I'm going against my own advice. I told you, be patient and trust the process, and guess exactly what I'm not doing. That. Excellent. Okay. I am going to go ahead and get these off and into a bowl in which they'll sit with the salt. Take your time, be nice and patient. I just don't like how crowded my cutting board gets when I'm doing this, because I don't want to like slice into it again accidentally. Okay, almost done with the first half. Now I'm getting into the flow of it all. It's all happening a little bit faster. Beautiful cucumber slices. I love cucumber salads, but they're done poorly so often because people don't respect how much water they have. And they put in all their seasonings, and after 5 minutes of sitting with the seasonings, the cucumbers release so much liquid. It's ridiculous. Okay, that's one. I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna check on the chicken again, and now it's detached. Excellent. That's what I'm looking for. The chicken is now detaching from the bottom just a little bit. It might need a little help with a little scraping. But it is building up the color it needs. Okay, we're still gonna leave it alone. The only thing I'm gonna do, just to make sure it's evenly heating, I'm going to rotate my pot. Yeah, Duolingo is my family, exactly. A lot of people, they've never got a good cucumber salad because they're just so wet. Maybe they're okay for the first 5 seconds after you add seasoning, but you really need to do the step in advance. You really have to. Okay, stand up. There you go. I'm getting into the flow of it now. Excellent. Almost done. My cutting board is getting a little bit full now. I'm going to go ahead, pick all this up, put it back into the bowl. Ha. Okay. So, Duolingo has my family has asked, how do you know when to sharpen a knife? This is an excellent question. And my answer to that is, you just have to start feeling when your basic tasks start getting difficult again. If you notice you're crying a lot when you're chopping an onion, if you notice you can't cut through something, if you notice you can't get a clean slice on a tomato, that's my universal test. If your knife can't get a clean slice on a tomato, then it's basically way too dull at that point. Okay. Guess what? The chicken has gotten the color that I've wanted. The only thing is that skin is 100% stuck to the bottom, despite everything that I said. And I wondered why that's actually happening. I'm gonna grab a little spatula and try to scrape it off. I'm gonna go back to the stove really quick. I need to troubleshoot this. I have no idea why this happened. Usually this part goes very well. And again, I'm using silicone, I'm not using metal. Can't really use metal on something like this. Yeah, no, that skin has entirely detached from the meat itself. And I don't really know why at the moment, but it's okay. We just want to stop it from scorching now, is the only thing. And this has worked every other time I've done it. It's okay, listen, it's going to get chopped up into small pieces. We don't really care about cooking it flesh side down. We just wanted to get some color on the pan, okay? That was all. That was our only priority at the moment. We wanted to get all this fond developed on the bottom. Okay. This guy, we're gonna take off as well. Yeah, this is very, very interesting. I've never had this happen to me before. I wonder if my heat was too high. I think my heat might have been too high, and I didn't evenly cook it all. Okay. That's my only suspicion at the moment, or maybe I didn't fully clean off the pan from last time. But typically, these things are able to just really easily, naturally unstick with time. My pan is not broken. Okay, this is fine. All of this like stuck chicken at the bottom is fine. This like stuck chicken skin. All we're going to do is try our best to scrape some of it off. But ultimately, it's just gonna go back into the stew. Okay, we're gonna add a little bit more oil, and we're going to cook the onions in this. Add some avocado oil, with peanut oil, whatever that you really have on hand. Add that in, and into this pot, I'm gonna throw in my onions. But yeah, this was a little bit odd. Very, very unusual for me. And the onions are gonna release a little bit of liquid in this process. That's going to really help for us to get some of the stuff unstuck from the bottom. But otherwise, don't worry about it. Don't worry about this too much. Some salt, grab a little spoon, and get to scraping it off. We're not going to actually be able to cook these onions for too long in this fat. We're going to probably just have to immediately dump in the broth that we made because, you know, it is just kind of stuck down there. And that's okay. Life goes on. You have to understand when you need to make compensations and you need to cut things short. And in this case, we had something slightly go wrong, but it's not like irreparable. We're just gonna miss out on some of the flavor because we're not gonna really have the flavor of the fried onions. But we don't wanna have like the bitter burnt flavor of like burnt fond going into everything else, right? So the priority in this case would be for the sake of the rest of the dish and being okay with some of the lack of onion flavor that we get. It's just okay, it happens. That is how these things go. Okay. So, I gotta adjust my microphone, I think. It was hitting my t-shirt slightly. That's no good. I've not had to do that on stream before. Okay, so onions, almost done. Yeah, that bottom of the pan is getting quite dark. I'm not gonna be able to fry these onions at all. We're just gonna have to dump in the chicken stock, the kimchi, the gochujang, and the gochugaru. We're just gonna have to dump all of it in, and we're gonna shut off the heat because we still have some other components to add. We're gonna need some more chicken stock in here. We're going to add in the chicken. We're gonna add in the garlic, okay? So it's fine, these things happen. And now that we've added the liquid, we can easily scrape up anything that's been stuck to the pan. We're gonna get in there with a spoon and unstick it all manually, mechanically. Just like that, perfect. And all of that flavor, all of like the really seared fond on the bottom is gonna go back into the stew. Okay, so here's what needs to happen. We need to add the garlic in now. We're gonna add around the majority of it. The rest of it is gonna go dedicated towards the cucumber and the spinach, about half of that left. Okay? And we're gonna spoon in some more chicken stock into the whole deal. We're gonna do 2 ladles more into everything else. Excellent. And now, my friends, we're gonna add some chicken in. So, let's do that now. The chicken legs themselves, I'm not gonna be able to cut up into pieces at all. We're just going to tuck them in. We're gonna tuck them in good night. And then the chicken breast and chicken thighs. The chicken breast I'm going to set aside. The chicken thighs I'm gonna slice up now. And the chicken thighs themselves are going to go in now, and the chicken breast we're gonna add in later, because I don't want the chicken breast to become overcooked, okay? So, glad we're on the same page. Let's head to the cutting board. I'm gonna finish up the cucumber that I'm doing, and then I'll slice up the chicken pieces. Because we were halfway done with this guy. Excellent. So my friends, remember, cucumber salad, the most important thing is that you salt this in advance. You want to get all of the excess liquid out for the muchim, and then we're going to build a seasoning paste for it. But this is basically going to sit until the end of the stream with the salt, and you'll see exactly how much water comes out of everything, okay? Salt, 1, 2, and a 3. Almost all of that salt is going to dissipate in the liquid, so don't worry about over-seasoning the cucumber. And all we want to do is just really separate those slices and get them covered up by the salt. Okay, lovely. Get them covered by the salt, and you can already see they've immediately started sweating. Look at how much it's glistening. Look at how much liquid it's covered by. Imagine in 30 minutes, in 45 minutes, how much water would have escaped all of these different cucumbers. Okay? Is everybody following? I want to hear a yes, chef. I'm sorry today's stream has been so all over the place. I'm just getting my shit together a little bit. But it's okay. I tasted that. It's not enough salt. And do that much more. And make sure it's evenly incorporated, my friends. Evenly. Separate those slices if you have to. Separate them. Get it all around the cucumber. There you go. Hot. And it's going to taste a little too salty. That's important. Remember, all that salt is going to dissipate. And then some of it, only enough of it, is going to penetrate the actual cucumber itself. Look at that. Excellent. That's all done. I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to set this behind me. We do not need these cucumbers until we're ready to cook with them. Okay? Now, here's what needs to happen. Got a couple things going on here. We need to start the chicken. We need to start the chicken itself. And for the chicken, what we need to do is we need to slice it up. I'm going to still use this cutting board for something else, so I'm not going to do it on this one. And I would not like to contaminate it with chicken pieces. I'm just running out of space in my kitchen at the moment. I'm going to clean up my station for a second. Throw some stuff into the dishwasher. This is why keeping clean as you go is so important. That's why I talk about it so often, because you don't want to be landed in a situation like this where you find yourself running out of some space. So, I'm going to move my cutting board aside behind me. I'm going to use this knife again. We're going to use just a small cutting board. Doesn't really matter. Okay. Let's glove up. We're going to glove on up. So remember, the chicken breast and the chicken thighs, we just let it rest. The chicken breast we are not adding immediately into the process. We're going to add it later on. The chicken thighs, we want it to cook alongside the chicken legs, so they all get really nice and tender. So, take a look. Chicken breast, that's one. I'm going to just move that over here, away from harm. And think about the pieces that you want in the stew. For myself, personally, you want to cut it against the grain. So look at the grain of the chicken. Look at the way that it's separating. And again, this is going to be uncooked on the, well, actually, that's still mostly cooked. Huh. These are pretty thin chicken breasts. These are the kinds of pieces that I want in this kimchi jjigae. Nice thin slices. We're going to basically add these at the end. We're just going to kiss them with a little heat alongside the chicken tenders. Okay? Again, it's still not fully cooked through. Chicken breast number 2. Okay? Slice it down this way. And then you're going to just slice these up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oop, they're sliding a little bit. Maybe I shouldn't have stacked them. Okay? Excellent. That's my next batch, and these are going to get added alongside the chicken tenders. So, all that being set aside now. Lovely. And finally, the chicken thighs. This is what's going to want a lot of cooking, my friends. This is what we want to get nice and tender all the way through. Okay? So, let's cut this up into strips. What are the best strips that we can manage? Kind of difficult to do because it's already basically mostly cooked. It's going to get really, really tender. Okay, and now this is getting added directly into the pot. These are the chicken thighs, and they're going into the pot alongside the chicken legs. Just tuck them in good night, into the stew. Okay, and that's that. Let's go ahead and look at the pot, my friends. Look at this pot. Do you understand how much flavor is inside of this thing? We have gochujang, we have garlic, we have plenty of chicken, we have a homemade chicken stock that's been fortified with kelp. That is basically it. That is basically good to go. We're gonna get this onto a boil. We're gonna cook that for about 20 minutes or so. And then we're going to add in the tofu to cook. In the meantime, we have a bunch of little side dishes for us to worry about. We have to think about the banchan. Okay? I'm taking a second to clean up my station while you guys watch a pot of water boil, essentially. I dropped my bowl, but don't you worry about it at all. Okay? This cutting board has got to go. Excellent. Ugh. And now I'm just gonna quickly wash off this knife. If anybody has any questions, now is a really good time to ask because we've basically done most of the work for the soup, for the kimchi jjigae. We have a couple of other things we need to do. Washing this off, just making sure I'm sanitizing my one tool that is staying consistent in between uses, because I'm using this one chef's knife for everything. Excellent. That's all done. Needs more bok choy. Audio Murphy, there is no bok choy in this. What are we talking about? This is kimchi jjigae. Okay. Dirt McNasty asks me, if you had to live the rest of your life without garlic or onion, which would you prefer? Okay. Now hold on. I'm going to complicate this question even further. Does this include leeks? Does this include, let's say, like the big green onions? Does this include scallions? What are we talking about here? Are you saying I have to get rid of one of these two and I'm okay with all the other alliums? Because if that's the case, then I'm getting rid of onions, because I'll be able to have scallions and leeks and everything else. And those will be able to do the job of the onion. But the job of the garlic can only be accomplished by the garlic, in my mind. Well, there's some substitutes, but really it's garlic that we're talking about here. Okay, grab another spoon to stir things around when we need to. We're gonna boil that for about 20 minutes or so. And now we have to talk about the rice. All onions and all garlic? Well, that doesn't make sense because they're both alliums. How do you make that differential? Also, Duolingo has my family. That new camera is going to be used for the stove. It's just not ready yet. It's not ready at this point in time. But it will be next stream, I promise. Okay, so the kimchi jjigae is going. That's all the chicken in there, all the gochujang, all the gochugaru, the onions, the garlic, beautiful. At the moment, we need to cut up the tofu for it, which will be happening in 20 minutes. And we need to start prepping the stuff for the rice. Let's first do the rice. Let's do the rice. So, I'm going to show you exactly what we'll do to the rice today. I'm pretty excited about it. The rice is not going to be any ordinary rice. This is my favorite variety of rice. This, my friends, is called Haiga rice. So, I have a question. How many people in chat know what Haiga rice is? I talk about it all the time. Who remembers what this is? Who remembers what Haiga rice is? If somebody has an answer, I'm going to display correctly. I want you to tell me right now. No? Really? Okay. It's pretty important. So, people think that there's two kinds of rice. People think that there's brown rice and there's white rice. But that's not true. Brown rice is essentially white rice that has the germ and the grain, the germ and the bran attached to it. Haiga rice is in between white rice and brown rice, where it has the bran of the rice actually removed, but it keeps the germ. And what that has is a little bit more nutritional value, and it has a little bit more fiber, okay? And this is in an effort to bring back a little bit of fiber into my diet because we eat a lot of refined grains in a modern world. We eat a lot of white rice, we eat a lot of just like pure bleached flour, and as a result, you lose out on a lot of nutritional value and fiber. And so, I make a lot of things with Haiga rice these days. Now, I can't stand brown rice. I hate the texture of it. I hate the taste of it. Well, I don't hate the taste. I just hate the texture. I love the stickiness of white rice. And what this allows me to do is essentially have something that has the texture of white rice, the flavor of brown rice, and has a lot more nutritional value than white rice. So, I'm going to wash this up. I'm going to wash this up right now. I'm going to need a second to do so. I have to step off camera to wash my rice, as usual. So please forgive me for a moment. If anybody has any questions, you know what? I'll be able to actually display it while I'm washing this. So now's a good time to ask me anything. I have my chat open on my phone while you guys watch that pot boil. But yes, I love haiku rice. It's really, really delicious, and it is something I recommend everybody that is capable to get into the habit of finding. Go to like your local like Asian grocery store or something. Do what you gotta do. I love this stuff to death. I really, really do. It's very special. Yeah, pot boiling POV. Just for a second. Hello, I'm new here. Well, welcome on in. Hope you're having a good day today. Okay. All I'm doing is I'm taking a second to wash up the rice. We're going to wash it until it's basically clear. And then, my friends, we're going to take advantage of the chicken stock that we have. Just getting rid of all of the starchy water out of the rice. So my friends, I finished washing the rice. I'm going to show it to you now. The rice is perfectly washed, but guess what? Also, I don't like being called babe. I'd prefer if you didn't do that. Thank you. Let's go to the rice one more time. Remember, we have all of the homemade chicken stock, right? We have all that delicious homemade chicken stock. We're going to cook it in that chicken stock. Traditionally, in a lot of like different like Asian cuisines, your rice is intentionally bland because everything else is going to season the rice for you, right? So consider the fact that we have like this really spicy stew. We're gonna have all of these different salads. This rice doesn't actually need seasoning, but we have this delicious chicken broth. We're gonna go ahead and do another half ladle in. We just bring it to a boil, drop it to a simmer, and cook it for 20 minutes. Nice and easy, okay? And this is just gonna add a little bit of extra chicken flavor. We're not really adding any unnecessary salt or seasoning. It's just gonna be wonderful. Also, welcome on in the Fanatic Gamer. Let's head back to the stove. I'm gonna set the rice on to boil. Again, the rule for this kind of rice, bring it to a boil, drop it to a simmer, cook it for about 15 to 20 minutes. I like doing 20 minutes. Also, oh my God, so many first time people coming in. What's going on? Where'd you guys find me? Welcome on in. Okay. Let's head back over here. And by the way, the kimchi jjigae is now officially cooking. Right? The kimchi jjigae is going. So we want to go ahead and set a timer for around 20 minutes. I need a lid for that pot. Where is it? Is that the lid? That'll do just fine. Sweet. The kimchi jjigae is going. It needs about 20 minutes. I love Korean food too. I love it. Love it to death. So, Fanatic Gamer, Samim, where'd you guys come from? Like, how'd you find this channel? Because I just saw a couple of people join in for the first time. Okay. Now, remember, let's have a little bit of an update. The cucumbers, they've been fully salted all the way through. They're releasing so much liquid. Look at all that liquid. This is an essential step. This is not negotiable at all for cucumber salads. You get rid of this now, and it's going to make sure that your cucumber salad never gets diluted. I see people all the time, I'm gonna add cucumber into the salad, and they don't salt it, and it's going to make the whole thing just so humid for no reason. It's going to dilute all the flavors, any of the seasonings that you're gonna put in, and it's only going to increase. This volume of water is only gonna increase. So we're gonna leave it until the very end, and then we're going to add in all the seasonings and stuff, and we'll have a perfectly seasoned cucumber salad. This is how you make cucumber salads not suck. This is how you make them not suck. Salt it in advance, non-negotiable. Okay, kimchi jjigae is going. In about 20 minutes time, we have to add in the tofu. So I say we should chop up some tofu. Let's open up this bad boy. I'm gonna use all of this because I'm making a huge double batch of kimchi jjigae today. Okay. Let's peel this open. Excellent. And now, I'm gonna just remove this the best I can. Actually, I'm just gonna take this whole block of tofu out with my fingers. We don't need any of the tofu water. So we can just dump all of that out down the drain, my friends. We don't need any of it today. Some people, like, it's very nice to keep the tofu water. It's very nice to keep the tofu water if you're going to be like putting it back into the fridge. But in this case, I'm not going to do that. Okay, I think my rice is about to boil as well. Everything is going at the moment. Ooh, the kimchi jjigae looks excellent. And make sure we're scraping up the bottom, okay? Make sure we're scraping off whatever could be possibly stuck to the bottom of the pot. Because remember, we had all those chicken skins and stuff. And we're gonna throw on a lid. We don't want this to reduce anymore. We don't want to lose any of the additional liquid. Also, I'd really request, please do not call me babe. I'm not a fan. Jack, I am not allergic to anything. So, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna cut the tofu. And again, keep that tofu water, keep the package if you want to put it back in the fridge. In this case, we're going to be using all of it. And now think about the slices of tofu you want. Tofu is very delicate. Even this firm tofu, it's very delicate. We can't just be throwing around a knife or anything. Okay? So, we're going to take the tofu, and we're going to think about the slices that you want. I am going to just cut it in half. I'm going to cut it in quarters. I love the tofu in the kimchi jjigae. It is one of my favorite tastes. And then I'm just going to cut this into eighths. Look how gentle I am. I'm holding this so gently. If you're too rough with this motion, it will crack and fall apart. Yes, I like to be called chef. You can call me chef. Everybody, let me hear yes, chef. I want to unanimously hear yes, chef from everybody watching. It's non-negotiable. Okay. The rice is boiling. 20 minutes for that to be cooked through. Excellent. Look at that. That's what I want to see. So, look at this tofu. Beautifully cut into eighths. Now we're just going to pick it up. We can use the bottom of the knife. Oh my god. My brain just defaulted to saying bottom of the ninth. Like the baseball phrase. So, chop this up into quarters. And then we're going to do eighths. 1, 2. Okay. That's enough. I am so sorry. I don't love the way you're talking to me right now. Okay? Not great. Please do not do that. Let's not. Guys, I'm teaching you how to cook. Okay? I would like some respect, please. Thank you very much. I've asked you, there is like a certain limit that I will hit. Well, I do not want people to talk to me like that anymore, okay? I will give you, if you genuinely did not know what I'm comfortable with, I will give you a couple of other chances, but once I've told you like several times to not talk to me in that way, it does make me uncomfortable, okay? So, let's wipe off my cutting board. We don't need any of this tofu water on my board. I really, really would like you guys to listen to that. Thank you. Okay, sweet. Now, we have to think about the dressing for the spinach. We have to think about the dressing for the cucumbers. But first step, the water is currently boiling for the spinach, and I think we should get that done right now and out of the way. So I have a bunch of the spinach that I washed up, threw it into a salad spinner. Okay? Guys, let's just move on. I have a bunch of the spinach. I already wash it up really, really nicely. And all of this is going to be used for the seasoned spinach. Let's go to the stove. And all the way back there, you can see, I have a pot of boiling water. Okay? I have a pot of boiling water. We're going to dunk that in for just a few moments, just so that it reduces. And then we're going to scoop it out and then push out any of the liquid. So, let's do this now, my friends. Throw in all of that spinach. It's all going to reduce down. It's all going to wilt. Get this done out of the way ahead of time. Let's press it down. Let's press it all down. And it's only going to take a minute or two. And then we're going to use this tool. This is called a spider, my friends. This is called a spider. This is one of my favorite tools in a... Ooh, I keep having spinach fall off of it. It's one of my favorite tools in the kitchen because it lets you scoop things out in big proportions and leave all the water in the pot. Everybody needs a spider. Go buy yourself one. Okay, we're gonna give that another few seconds and then we're gonna take that out. Let's take a look on the chicken. Beautiful. Cooking away, looking good. Okay. And now, let's take this out. I love having a spider. It's my favorite tool. Take it out. Excellent. Take it out. Excellent. There we go. And that's it, my friends. That's all that you have to do for it. Okay? We just wanted to cook the spinach down, and you can already see how much texture we have from it. Look how much of it has reduced. And now I'm going to go ahead and strain this over a bunch of running cold water. I'm going to take a second to get that done. Actually, we'll go to my front camera for this. I'm going to take a second just to rinse cold water over this, because we don't want the spinach to overcook in this time. And we want to afterwards squeeze any of the water out. Okay? I just burnt myself with the hot spinach water. Ow. So take it, run it under the cold water, my friends. And you'll be left with a beautiful ball of cooked spinach. You really, really want to cool it down after it cooks. That's how you stop it from like losing all of its vegetalness. That's how you stop it from losing all of its texture. We just wanted it cooked down. Okay, a little bit more. Excellent. It's done. The deed has been done, my friends. We have officially cooked down a whole bunch of spinach. And after we rinsed it, and after we squeezed it, I want you all to look. I want you all to see really quickly. Look at how much spinach we have left. Look how much spinach we have left. It's become a one little teeny tiny ball. All that spinach is cooked down. We're gonna get rid of any remaining liquid in there. Squeeze it. We don't want the seasoned spinach to become really bland, okay? And then we're gonna chop it up. Never chop, if you're gonna cook with spinach, never chop it up before you cook with it. It's a lot easier to first blanch it down like this, because look at the volume. Look at the difference in the volume. Squeeze it out. All of that liquid. It's all bland spinach liquid. We have no use for any of this, okay? Get it out of here. Goodbye. Done. You've done your job for me. Thank you very much. Okay. Hi. Look at all the spinach. Beautiful. So, look how much easier it is to cut up the spinach now that we have it cooked down. And I want nice, thin slices. Nice thin slices. This is going to be eaten with some chopsticks. This is like a little, basically like a seasoned spinach salad, right? You don't want massive pieces of spinach. And also, it's going to make it a lot easier to mix into the dressing. We're going to give it a little rotation. I'm going to chop it up one more time. Excellent. And there it is, my friends, some beautiful green spinach that we've now cooked down. Let's take a look at the stew. Boop. Let's go to the stew really quickly. Ooh, the top of that is hot. Let's open it up. And that is the start of a beautiful kimchi jjigae. I'm thinking we might get rid of the chicken legs that are in there and then shred up the meat. But at the moment, this does look pretty wonderful. The chicken is getting really nice and tender. We're cooking everything down in that beautiful broth. It smells wonderful. That is a thing of beauty. Let's close it back up. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? We have like 2 more things to do. We just have to make the components for the rest of the dishes, for the rest of the side dishes, right? The cucumbers and the spinach. And that's actually just about it. We blanched the spinach, we did the cucumbers, we did basically everything. And the last step is just gonna be finalizing the cooking on the jjigae itself. Okay. So let's take a look, everybody. Let's have a little recap session. In fact, what I'm also gonna do is, I think I'm going to taste what is currently happening in that pot. I'm going to taste whatever is happening in that pot, just to see if it needs anything. But I have a feeling that the salinity is gonna be perfect. Yes, I use It's Jack. Okay, let's have a little taste. That handle is very hot. I shouldn't have done that. Oh. That is so delicious. That is so good. I'm telling you, such simple ingredients. Gochujang, gochugaru, chicken, a little bit of kelp, onions, garlic, and that's it. That's all it is. It's so funny. Jack, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Oh, that is so good. Oh, one more taste. I haven't had Jjigae in a while. That is so good. That is wonderful. You have no idea how special that tastes, everybody. You have actually no idea. It is really, really special. It is easy to do at home. Everybody should be making Jjigae. I think everybody should be making Jjigae, without a doubt. We're just having it cooking very nice and slow. Oh, wonderful. Okay, my friends. So, we gotta think about the other components. I have a list on my phone, which I'm gonna reference right now. For the cucumbers, we need some onion. We're gonna need some soy sauce, some sesame oil, some gochugaru, some sesame seeds. And that's gonna be about it. So let's make all that dressing. Let's make all that stuff that's gonna go inside. In fact, I don't think I'm gonna do the onion as much as I am just going to do some additional scallions, because I do like the scallions. So, let's clean up this cutting board really quickly. I know it's getting a little bit messy. All we're gonna wanna do is just get rid of some scallions. Think about the cucumber salad, think about how many you want. I want quite a few. In fact, I'm just gonna use these scallions for really everything from now on. I fell in love with Jjigae the first time I had it at a Korean place. Yes, it is wonderful. It's so simple. It is the quintessential Korean dish for homes. Okay, here's what we're gonna do, my friends. We're gonna take the scallion. We're going to try our best to stack it all up. Just like so. We're gonna bunch it up, and then we're gonna get nice, thin slices all the way through. I'm not gonna do onion in the cucumber salad itself, because I'd have to go ahead and take out a whole nother onion when I already have a bunch of scallions that have already been nicely washed. But normally, you would do an oil muchim with some onions as well. Look at this, beautiful. Lovely little stack of scallions here. We're slicing our way through them. We're getting the job done. Excellent, there it is. Nice big stack of scallions. And this is basically gonna go in everything. This is gonna be the garnish. This is gonna go into the salad. You can't ever have too many onions. Okay, my friends? You can't have too many scallions, rather. And now, the garlic that we have dedicated for both of these salads is technically already prepped. I just don't know where I put it. Aha! I found you. Onions. Garlic, rather. It's right here. Beautiful. Okay. Next up, I have a nice little ingredient list on my phone for such an event. Oh, is that really it? I think that's actually just it. Is that all the chopping I have left to do? I don't think I need my cutting board for anything else. Okay, so, in fact, I'm gonna do a few more scallions. I want some to garnish the stew, and I want some for the salads. So I need a generous amount of these green onions. Let's do this many more, and I'm gonna put the rest away. And the stew has about 4 more minutes until we add the tofu and the rest of the chicken. Let's gather this up, bunch it up, cut it like this so it's gonna be a little bit easier for us to all slice together. Move the bench scraper aside, and let's slice through the stack of scallions, my friends. Can I get a yes, chef, please, and thank you? It's been too long and I missed hearing you guys say it. Lovely. Perfect. There it is. That's the rest of the scallion. And now, my friends, I can take a second to clean stuff up. All right, thank you for being here, Jack. See you next time. I'm I'm gonna take a second just to put everything away. I no longer need my knife. I no longer need my cutting board, and thus my station can get a little bit cleaned up. And now we're gonna take a little peek at the soup, at the kimchi stew that we're making, my friends. We're gonna take a little peek now. After I'm done wiping off my surfaces, of course. Not gonna need that bowl for anything else. I'm gonna just throw that into the dishwasher as well. This is getting nicely filled up. I'm gonna go on the cycle after I'm done with the stream today. Okay. I'm gonna wipe my knife off because it is currently wet from slicing the scallions. Okay, chat. Are you ready to see the jjigae? Are you ready to see the stuff? Are you ready to see the beautiful stew that we have waiting for us? Because I don't know if you want, so I just really want to make sure. Yes, that is a Cooking with Jack top. So, Davine's Grace, if it's your first time here, I want to hear yes, chef, please. Is everybody ready to see the jjigae? You know what you have to say. Say it. It's time to do it, buddy. Okay. I finished wiping my knife off. Gonna put that away now. Lovely. That's what I want to see. Welcome on in. This isn't so hot. Beautiful. Scrape up anything that might be stuck to the bottom of the pot. Very important. It's a very, very thick stew. Okay. Excellent. That's what I'm talking about. Look at it. Look at that color. Incredible. You just can't beat it. You just can't beat it. So, here's what's going to happen. We got to do a few things. We're making 3 dishes today, in total 4 technically. We have the rice, we have the jjigae, we have the muchim, and then we also have the seasoned spinach. What we need to do now is we need to gently tuck in the tofu, and we're gonna add the chicken breast later on. In total, after we add in the tofu, it's gonna be about another 10 minutes or so. We're gonna add in the tofu, it's gonna be 10 minutes of cooking. And then in the last 5 minutes, we're gonna add in all of the chicken breasts so that they don't overcook. Okay? Delicious. Oh, guys, that is so good. You have no idea. I'm gonna have another taste of that. I'm gonna have a proper spoonful. Okay. Let's taste that one more time. So good. I think I might have put too much gochujang. I'm going to thin this out with another fresh ladle of chicken stock that I have left over. Okay? Another fresh ladle of chicken stock. And now, my friends, we're gonna add in the tofu. Remember, the tofu, we cut it up really, really delicately. We just wanna tuck it in. We wanna tuck it in goodnight. And we wanna fold it in. We wanna make it nice and pretty. The tofu, it's very, very delicate. It's very, very fragile. You don't want to mix this in or anything. You just want to leave it in there as it is. If you mix this up, it's fine. You'll just get broken pieces of tofu in your soup. And I don't know if that's something that you want to do. Okay, kitchen timer, 10 minutes. Last 5 minutes of cooking, we're going to tuck in the chicken breasts. Okay? Let's put a lid on it. And now, let's also look at the rice, my friends. So, the pot of rice that we have been making in the chicken stock itself has now officially concluded. It is finished. This is the Haiga rice. Remember, this isn't any ordinary white rice. This is the stuff that's in... Did you just fog up my lens? Okay, it's fine. So, all we're gonna do is we're gonna take a little stick and we're gonna mix it around. This was cooked in the chicken stock. And this is Haiga rice. It's in between brown rice and white rice. It has the germ still attached to it. It has a little bit more fiber, it has a little bit more nutritional value, but it still has, to me, a very delicious texture and a little bit of flavor of the brown rice. I'm gonna try some. Delicious. Actually, just wonderful. And look at the texture. This is the texture of stovetop rice. It's perfect. I don't need a rice cooker. I can make perfect stovetop rice for myself at home. Okay? Excellent. Okay, that's all done. I'm gonna set that aside. Oh no, I forgot one component. You know what I forgot about? Let's head back to the pot. Let's head back to the pot. I forgot something. My chopped up scallion whites. I haven't actually put in yet. I was gonna put these in now so that the scallion whites themselves can get a little bit cooked. And then we're gonna add the greens on top. That is one component I did forget about. Excuse me. Okay. Let's do the spinach. Head back here. So remember, we have this nice little bowl of spinach. Now it's time for us to season this up. Okay? I have my proportions, I have everything that I want listed out already. So, we already have some minced up garlic that we did. We're gonna need some of this garlic. We're gonna use a little less than half, and the rest of it is gonna go towards the cucumbers. Okay? So about this much of the garlic goes in now. A bunch of the scallions. Okay? Because you can't have too many scallions. And then the next few steps are gonna be kind of important. We're gonna need some soy sauce, we're gonna need some sesame oil, and some sesame seeds. Okay. I should have a nice little spoon with which to measure things in, theoretically. Aha, found it. So, we're gonna need about 1.5 teaspoons of sesame oil. Really delicious, toasted, nutty. 1, 2. I love sesame oil. Next, we're going to need the same amount in soy sauce. And I'm going to be using a light soy sauce. I'm just going to garnish the jjigae with a little bit of sesame oil as well. 1.5. You don't want the soy sauce to become overly powdery. It's a nice light soy sauce. And then, my friends, finally, we're gonna do some sesame seeds. And you may notice, these are actually gonna be the exact same seasonings between the cucumbers and the spinach. A little bit more than that, perfect. Some black sesame seeds, delicious. And now, I'm gonna take a little glove and mix it all up. And theoretically, the salt in the soy sauce should be enough to season everything that we have here. Actually, you can just take any spoon that you want. It doesn't really matter. This is gonna be fine. Let's just mix all of this through. And this is our little seasoned spinach dish. Full of sesame seeds, sesame oil, soy sauce, garlic, scallions. It smells heavenly. In fact, I don't think I'm gonna do any sesame oil in the jjigae itself, just because the cucumber salad is gonna be full of it too. Look at that. That's our spinach. Let's give it a little taste. Does not need any more salt. Delicious. I might have used too much sesame oil, but that's okay. It's really strong stuff. It does not need any more salt. There is plenty already in the soy sauce itself. That's it. And that's done. And now, my friends, we have to worry about the cucumbers. So, remember how I talked to you about the salted cucumbers and how much water they're gonna release? I want everybody to take a guess. How much water is inside? How much water did we just get rid of by doing this process? I want y'all to take a look at these cucumbers. Ready? 5 cups. Not quite. But look at all that. We're not gonna try to squeeze the cucumbers. We don't wanna mash it up or anything because they're very delicate at this stage. But if you taste it, it's no longer overly salted because all that salt is in this liquid. Look at it. Just mix it around and get rid of it, my friends. Look at it. Look at all of it come out. And now we have these perfectly seasoned cucumbers and none of this water. None of that water that would have otherwise made the salad soggy and wet for no reason. Okay, we have one last thing to do actually. And this is about the jjigae itself. We have to add the chicken in. Let's head back to the stove. Let's look at the jjigae. Look at it, beautiful, bubbling away, delicious. Last step, remember the chicken breasts, remember the chicken tenders that we set aside? Well, now is the time to add them. They're not gonna take that long to cook. So we're just gonna add them in now and cover it up, and then it's gonna be perfect in around 5 to 6 minutes. Just dump it in, the chicken breasts and these chicken tenders. I know it looks raw because it is raw, but all we wanna do is just tuck the chicken pieces inside of this hot broth. We're gonna leave it alone to cook so that it is no longer raw and instead just perfectly cooked through. We're not trying to disturb the tofu though. Okay? Just tuck it inside, make sure all of the chicken is submerged nicely. We don't want any of it to be raw by the end of this process. Okay? And now we're just gonna leave this alone for another 5 to 6 minutes. And I promise you by that point, the chicken tenders would have been cooked through, everything would have been exactly where it needs to be. Okay, my friends, last step, let's season the cucumbers. And we can think about our plating. The kimchi jjigae is going. Let's look at the cucumbers. Oh, how did the cucumber fall? Oh no. So here's what we're gonna need. We're gonna need basically all the same ingredients as the spinach, except with the addition of a little gochugaru. And I have my proportions here. We're gonna do scallions, a bunch of these guys, because you can't ever have too many. We're gonna have the rest of the garlic going in. Okay? That's all the garlic now. That's about 1.5 cloves worth. Okay? Now, we're gonna need some soy sauce. We need some gochugaru. We're gonna need some sesame oil and sesame seeds. All the same stuff. Let's start with the gochugaru. 2 tablespoons of this stuff. Really, really delicious. And I really want to be careful with my sesame oil this time because I don't want to have too much like I did last time. Okay, let's line that up. Two tablespoons of gochugaru. 1, 2, maybe a little less. Then we'll do about a tablespoon or 2 of the soy sauce. Where's my light soy sauce? Excellent. What, like one of these guys? Maybe another one of those? Oh shit, wait a second. I was supposed to do 2 teaspoons and not 2 tablespoons. I looked at that amount and I'm like, that's a lot of red pepper flakes. Okay, let's salvage it. Let's get rid of some. I don't want this to be inedible. Oh no. Oh, gamers, it might be over. Oh no. Oh, it's fine. We'll live. There's nothing else that we can do. Oh no. I can't believe this happened to me. Okay, we'll do a little sesame oil, just a drizzle. And then a dash of sesame seeds. Let's grab a glove. Let's mix it up and let's give it a taste. Although that is a lot more gochugaru than I would have liked, I don't think it'll be a problem by the end of it. And we'll adjust if it needs anything else. Oh, that is so much red pepper flakes. That is so much. Let's mix it up. Let's mix it through, especially the garlic. The garlic is kind of the important one that you want to make sure is not in any big clumps. You want to separate all the little tiny slices. And then we'll give it a taste. Separate the slices, my friends, separate the slices. Get it all mixed up. Get all of it nicely mixed up. Let's have a taste. That is fine, actually. That's perfectly fine. Nothing to worry about at all, my friends. Okay. Oh, and there it is. That's a lot of spice. That was a lot more gochugaru than I was intending on using. But that's okay. Okay, guess what? We're done. We did it. And now we can start thinking about the plating. We have the spinach. We have the muchim, right? The cucumber. I'm gonna take a second to clean up and give that another second to cook. But oh my God, that is a lot of, that was a lot more gochugaru than I was intending. I'm gonna take a second just to put some stuff away so that I don't have a mess to deal with later on. Okay. Uh-huh. How did I even have this? Was it like this? Okay. And I do want to just thin this out. Actually, no, I don't want to thin it out. I'm going to have that food later. Okay. My friends, let's think about the plating of it all. I can probably shut off the heat on this now. We can just mix in the chicken, make sure that it's in separate little clumps all the way through the stew, all the way through the jjigae. The chicken is fully cooked, more than fully cooked at this stage. I can promise you that. We have no raw chicken. Excellent. We made 4 dishes today. I don't know what that means. Okay, let's plate. So, first up, we want a little bowl of rice for ourselves. So let's do that now. Let's grab a pot of rice. We'll give ourselves a nice little bowl. We're gonna fill it up. Let's toss it on in. That was the worst rice pour I've ever done in my life. That was terrible. I've never had rice just fall out of its vessel before. Okay. Maybe I should have picked any other spoon for this job. But you know what? That'll be just fine for now. Okay. A little bit crispy, a little bit scorched, but that is kind of the way that I like my rice. And this was cooked in the chicken stock. Excellent. Then, I'm gonna just put on a little plate some of the cucumber salad, and I'm gonna put some of the spinach as well. I want some chopsticks, thank you. I want some of the spinach. Excellent. So here's the rice. Spinach is lovely. Delicious. Okay, and then I want some of the cucumber salad. Everybody, any final questions? Anything else that you want to say to me? Now is the best time to do it. That's the rice, that's the cucumber, and then the star of the show is gonna be the jjigae. So good. Okay, and then let's plate up the stew. Make a nice big bowl for myself, yeah? It's already off the heat, it's already shut off. Excellent. Get some of the tofu, get some of the chicken, get some of the broth. The broth is my favorite part at the end of the day. Oh, excellent. And there it is, my friends. Look at it. Everybody take a look. Any final questions? Now is the time to ask, because soon we'll be signing off stream. I want a pretty shot. I want you all to see this. Let's push that up a little bit. Excellent. My friends, this is it. Let's talk about everything that we've accomplished today. Let's talk about everything that we've done. And also, wait, excuse me. Some more scallion on top. Thank you very much. Let's talk about this. We have 4 different dishes. We have 4 different components today. First up, we have the star of the show, the kimchi jjigae itself. We made a chicken stock. We fortified the chicken stock with some kelp, right, as per tradition. We fried up the chicken pieces. We separated the breast from the thighs. We then added in onions. We added in garlic, added in gochujang, added in gochugaru, and about 2 pounds of kimchi. A whole lot of kimchi went into this thing. We let it cook. We added some nice firm tofu. We added a bunch of scallions. Next up, we have the 2 side dishes. We have the spinach, which has been blanched. Very simple, sesame oil, sesame seeds, a little bit of soy sauce. This is basically the same thing. It's cucumbers that we let sit with salt, and then we also added some gochugaru on top of the soy sauce, sesame oil, and scallions, as well as some garlic in both. And then this is some beautiful haigu rice that I made and cooked with some chicken stock. Excellent. And then let's have a bite. Let's have some tofu. Let's eat it over the bowl of rice so that if anything drips. That is perfect, my friends. That is perfect. And then, once the rice starts soaking up some of that cooking liquid, the best. It is the best. You can't beat it. There's just no way to beat it. Okay, everybody, I'm gonna be eating this stuff off stream. If anybody has any final questions, anything they want to say to me, now is gonna be the time to do it. We're gonna get ready to raid somebody. We're gonna raid Rose today. It's all really spicy, actually. I made everything too spicy. Now, let's also try the salad. Both of these are lovely. Okay, everybody. Thank you all for being here. Next stream, we're going to have a new camera implemented, hopefully. We're going to raid Rose. I'll see you all next time. Thank you all for being here.